This show, man. So what are you thinking? How you feeling about it?
I guess when did they?
I don't know how to feel because
I
last
don't
week
know
was such a different show.
I don't. You know better than I do.
Yeah.
The comic books. So.
Well, and that So all right, let's get started. What's up, my know-it-alls? That's right. It's time for the finale of She-Hulk. That is episode 9. Whose show is this?
Jen finds herself in trouble with the law and struggles to pick up the pieces of her life.
That's the log line. Literally. The log line for the episode. Okay. It was a finale. I was wondering how they were going to do it in 35 minutes, because that's what it was, and they did. 35 minutes. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time recapping this thing. At the end of the day...
Because you really can't.
Well, there's nothing to recap. It's what do you mean, like, what? Spoilers?
No.
Okay,
I mean, like, you really can't
everything.
just, like, make it come together and, like,
So,
I don't know.
Okay,
Real fast.
The episode starts with Jen. She's locked up. She's having these weird fantasy dreams that all look vaguely like the original Hulk TV show intro. So clearly production's having a lot of fun, and so is post-production, and I'm glad everybody did. I'm glad. No, seriously.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was totally fun. So then she wakes up and she's in jail, the same raft-style superpowered jail that the Abomination was in before. She gets released based on if she has to wear the same ankle thing that says she can't transform.
For life.
Yeah, that she can't transform.
Yeah.
And so now she suddenly has this angstiness, and she's sort of like, what's going on here? I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And then we have Pug and
Mallory.
Nikki, who have... I'm sorry,
no,
yeah.
All
Well,
three of them
they came to visit.
Sorry.
I'm moving fast through this, because they're there for all of a second.
I'm going to let
you. Yeah, no, they're all of a second. So then you fast forward to where Jen is... she's decided she's staying with her parents. First off, the news is covering everything badly. There's even this one segment where the guy who used to Bukowski, the Emil Bukowski, whatever his name, not Emil Bukowski, it's Emil Blonsky, the guy who she used to work with, the real misogynist. He's
that's
on,
right. What's his?
He's on the news and he's all like, yeah, we like dated for a little while. She was like, oh, before the Hulk power, and you're like, bro, really? Anyways, so then we roll past that, and she ends up going to stay at Emil Blonsky's place, the retreat that she was at before. And while she's there, we find out that Nikki and Pug have narrowed down who Hulk King is, and Nikki has managed, through sharing an embarrassing video that Jen's mom sent her, has managed to get into the Intelligentsia website, because in the very beginning, Nikki and her can't really figure it out. That's that clip that released the other day. And so we end up with this massive encounter. Come to find out, Todd is the guy who is so to speak heading up this whole thing.
Yeah,
and
bro.
They stole the blood. Oh, dude, yeah, they're totally dude bros. Pug's got to try to be there. It's so funny because Pug is such a woke version of a guy. Come on, California. And it's hilarious to see he has such a hard time being a dude bro, which I can sympathize with, because I can't imagine trying to be one on purpose. And seriously, I can't I feel like I could do it by pretending, but I couldn't. It's hard to imagine being that in real life, because it's such a caricature.
And actually, that's the second time that we saw that being projected on him. Remember with what?
Oh yeah,
it's
totally.
Like, you guys know me.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And so then, so literally, we find out that guess what? They're meeting at the Intelligentsia's meeting at the lodge, the same lodge that's at Obama retreat. And that's what it said at the door.
That's what it did. No, it did.
And then he shows up in Abomination form. Somehow, I guess he's figured out how to break the thing, and he does these speaking engagements, and he's like, it's strictly for profit. It's okay. And like, right on, bro. And they're totally like, me too. And so he's, so that's when Jen happens to, because she just wants to talk to Abomination, try to figure it out, because he's literally been through this.
Yeah.
And so she walks in on everybody, and it becomes a whole thing, and Todd has her blood synthesized into a thing, and he puts it into his arm, and he becomes a Hulk Todd. And at that same moment, Titania shows up, because Titania, Bruce shows up, because the Hulk has to save Jen. And the whole time, Jen is sort of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And she breaks the third wall and is like, I'm not doing this. And then off screen, apparently, she decides to turn off the thing or take off the thing, transform. And then she literally breaks the fourth wall. Coming into real life on what is there to be the Marvel Studios campus. I believe they probably did shoot this at the Marvel Studios campus because a lot of the hallways and stuff are how I've seen it described. And she proceeds to go and storm right into the writer's room there and berate them about the storyline and what they're doing and this and that. And they're like, oh man, this is all Kevin approved. And we're like, and every time we have the closed captioning on, every time Jen says Kevin, it's the name Kevin. Every time one of the writers says Kevin, it's K period, E period, V period, I period, N period. So you're like, so immediately I'm sitting here going, what's going on? And so Jen proceeds to decide she storms off, goes to the Marvel Studios head producer, executive producer, Kevin's office, and gets let in. I guess they try to send security to stop her, like the dude at the door. And she's like, seriously, we're going to do this? And she proceeds to whoop all of the security guards' butts. It's great. It's good. It's a very satisfying moment for her. Eventually, she walks into this. She clearly transitions from a real life hallway to like it becomes an entire CGI dump, and so it's a CGI area with giant screens all showing various Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. And so
they used the volume for that.
They had to. I guarantee you.
Only because like when she walked in, I was like, I was looking like. Yeah, that's it.
Well, and it's a big circle.
Yeah.
That's smart. They probably totally used. They were like, we're gonna set the volume up so it looks like this. So I bet you the floor was probably the only real thing in the whole thing. And so that's when Kevin shows up.
Hey, Kevin, you look great. Hey, Kevin. What? Kevin, it's me, Kevin. What? Hey, Kevin. Kevin. Hey, Kevin. You look great. Hi, Kevin. Look, you look great. Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Over here, Kevin. Where? Hey, you look great.
That's right. No, that's exactly which. Yes. You think I'm kidding? This is really it.
Hello, Jennifer.
It's literally a giant robot. I half expected to hear the dude's voice from Final Space. I was like, what? Anyways, he's talking to her, and they proceed to have a conversation, and she's like, this is supposed to be my show, blah, blah, blah. Isn't this show supposed to be a legal comedy? And he's like, okay, then what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to do my closing argument. And he's like, I see what you did there. It's it's very HAL 9000 or whatever, you know. And would you like to play a game? And so I don't know why I have to do this every time I'm doing a robot thing. I think it's because he's got little robot arms.
I think it's because he's got one of those.
Little teeny, like, he looks like he belongs in like WALL-E or something.
Yeah.
The way the robot is designed. Anyway, they have a discussion about what Marvel's the cinematic universe is and isn't, and essentially she gets an opportunity to basically say, I want my show to be this, 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 and this. And sure enough, he's like, all right, you're never going to make it here again, so that's fine. I'll give you what you want. And poof, we go, and we get to see the culmination of the ending of that. It's very anticlimactic. To be honest, it's a little bit boring. And because it all kind of, nothing, they have no responsibility, take no responsibility for anything in the series happening. And by that I mean, you don't get to see the resolution. The resolution happens much like the Sokovia Accords. Gets resolved, repealed. Okay, off screen. So by the time she comes back from meeting Kevin, it's all been resolved. The police are there. Emil's taking responsibility. Todd's blah, 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 being arrested for whatever. And because it's clearly not because he's a Hulk or anything like that anymore. So they've done away with all that. And out of nowhere, broad daylight, in drops Daredevil. So you're like, okay, I get it. This was a rather lackluster ending to what has been a rather meteoric season. Okay, let's talk about the show for a second. So what are your now? I have said the recap. Hit it. Tell me your thoughts.
It was okay. I wasn't happy with the way it was resolved, but I do like the way you and if you didn't know this from the comic books, because he's told me, I wouldn't know that she used to do this a lot. Would be like bully the writers and of her comic book.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of issues during the John Byrne run. I think maybe they did it once during during one of the subsequent runs, but I know for a fact during the John Byrne run there was times where things would start happening that were more and more ridiculous. Howard the Duck, blah blah blah, all kinds of like seriously things that are and so ridiculous that she had to literally break the fourth wall and stop and be like, what? And like one time she climbs out of a panel, walks across the advertising page, which is on the next page. Like, you literally go to the page, and it's all the ads like normal, but she's walking across them. And she opens up some hidden door and shows up in the artist's room or the artist's office, and she's arguing about how she looks and this and that. And there's other times where she argues with the writer about how he did something. So I immediately was like, this is clearly their version of that.
Yeah.
In that context, I'm down. That was fun. I got it. Okay, I like what you guys were doing.
But if I didn't know that, I'm not so sure.
But without that context,
I wouldn't know what just happened. I would have thought it was silly, almost.
Right. And then a little more like, wait, what's going on? What just happened? And so that's how it came across.
We were entertained.
Yeah.
Because it was goofy. That ending was goofy, but at the same time, it's like.
This felt like the ending from the first Scooby-Doo movie. It's the Scooby-Doo ending. Yeah. It's maybe that's not how this really happened. Maybe it happened this way. And someone rips it. Right, exactly. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, here's an ending. And by the way, I was prepared mentally. And I'll go somewhere else in a second. I was prepared mentally for the ending they were setting up. Todd's a Hulk. Bruce shows up. Blah, blah, blah. I still saw a path where you could have gotten to her resolution and her climactic resolution in the scenario they were laying out. Then they break the fourth wall, and it becomes kind of a condescension commentary. I know it's supposed to be a commentary in terms of like the same way Jupiter Ascending is a commentary of superhero stories or whatever else, and so Mike Millar's world and all that. And so this, I don't know that I think I felt insulted briefly, and then I was like, no, this is okay, whatever. I didn't feel, and she tries to argue to the Kevin, my stakes are losing my family, my job, my this, my that, and it was, to me, this was the height of very lazy writing. I feel like while last week's episode was exemplary and frankly the best episode in the entire run, I feel like this episode is very much a product of everything that's wrong with the show. Based on the whole series. So now, okay, let's do this episode. Do you have more to say about this episode?
No.
All right. Because I want to talk about because we're about to do a series review as well, briefly. My score know-it-all index for this episode, just this episode, is episode 9. My know-it-all index for me is a 7.0. A 7 out of 10. Yours?
7.5.
Okay.
Because I did laugh. I have to.
Oh, yeah, no,
I did laugh,
good
so
call. Yeah,
I wasn't going to be
Sure.
but yeah, I couldn't do anything higher than that.
Okay, so that's that episode. So now let's talk about the series overall, and then we'll do a series review, a series score at the very end of this. Overall, I feel like now that I've seen the whole thing, I'm going to try to dissect how I feel it went down. I'm probably completely wrong, but I can't logically follow the path. I feel like they want to do a show, they get some meetings, they meet Jessica Gao, she has a treatment, the treatment hangs its hat on last week's episode in terms of what the show wants to be, which is eventually you get to that spot where she comes to terms with who she is in her powers. She finds that equilibrium between Jen and She-Hulk. That's where it was going to go, all dressed in legal drama. Legal dramedy. However, they keep calling it legal comedy, it should have been a legal dramedy. You don't get much legaling throughout the whole series. There's clear signs of what I call editor's tracks. That's a really gross way of... so people who use heroin tend to have tracks, which is how you can tell that they are drug users. Editors, you can tell certain things about when an edit is finished, and then they've had to go back in and cut it, because certain things just don't make sense. Your first run through, you get rid of a lot of fat and a lot of things that aren't important, and then when you have to re-edit, it becomes clear that there isn't as much connective tissue. It was the same problem with the original theatrical version of Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman, when I watched it in the movie theaters, was very disconnected. Batman v Superman later on, when they did the director's cut, had all the connective tissue back in, and the story made more sense. Okay? So that's the same concept here. I would have loved to have seen the version before they moved the origin and did some of that shifting around, before they took away more of the fourth wall breaking. I feel like I would love to see the version that existed then, because I feel like that probably was more the version that Jessica Gao actually intended. This feels very much like the studio got a hold of some things, they wanted to make some changes, and then they probably brought in a couple of writers to help. Brian Michael Bendis was probably there, throwing his 2 cents in as a advisor and whatnot. A lot of people giving some input, and then you're stuck with what you get. I'll watch a second season. I don't know if I'll do another review show based on it. I might do a series review, but as it stands right now, while I like the character of Jen Walters and She-Hulk, it all feels very pedestrian at the moment. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. This to me is the first major fail from Marvel for me. We'll see. Anyways, what are your thoughts overall having to do with the series so far?
It started out promising. We were excited in the beginning.
Agreed.
We were really excited, and then it just kind of like went. Instead of going up, it just fell. It bottomed out, and then it got our hopes up last week, and now I was gonna. And this is what happened.
It's like it got our hopes up.
Yeah, as a fan of the movies and of Marvel, I kind of feel very let down. Like I said, you got, if I didn't have you.
Nice.
Like I did that.
Yeah.
If I didn't have him, I'm not so sure I would have continued on.
Sure.
Honestly, so I wasn't.
No, I got you.
Yeah. That's my thoughts. I don't have much. I was just really let down, and I hate that I don't have anything else to say about it. But I learned
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and grade the actual season itself. I will say that my overall rating, once you average all of the scores, so you add all the scores up from the last 9 episodes, and then you divide them by 9, and you come up with so that's what we get our average. The average for us both, I'll tell you precisely. Mine's a 6.72222. I'm rounding it up to 7.
Mine was a 7.1, and I was either zeros or twos.
Sure.
Well, but it was a 7.1.
So you round it down to 7.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's a 7.
So at the end of the day, that's our average. The average score for the series for both of us is a 7. Out of 10, that can look like it's not bad. The problem is you have highs which were an 8 and lows that were a 4.
And I did
for me.
I did a 9 the first time.
Oh yeah.
I had a 9 on there. And I think it was the second episode that it
Yeah.
And then it was funny.
What's really funny is if you can actually watch the evolution of this particular show.
Yeah.
Because the first episode, it was just me by myself, and I threw this giant. I didn't have a lower third at all. I just threw this giant lower third of the score and whatnot. And then later on, as the show progressed, we get this lower third that you see now. With all the fun little stuff. So yeah, it's overall, man, hey, it's what it is. The show was the series it was. Your mileage may vary, but there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you are halfway being a know-it-all yourself. So comment below. Let me know your scores. I'd love to know how you figured up a lot of this stuff and see where your head was at in terms of the show and what worked, what didn't, what you liked, what you didn't like. Again, this is not about being sexist, so please make sure that you guys are respectful. Make sure you come with actual thoughts and views and opinions. By the way, expressing something as your opinion, say, hey, I think the show sucks, fine. Saying, hey, I think the show's awesome, fine. I have no problem either way, guys. Just be respectful, please, in the comments. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We love doing these shows for you. I can't wait to see what's coming next down the pike. Is it all right with you if I handle this one?
Absolutely.
Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. See you guys next show.
Bye.